Excuse me. So in this video series, by the way, my name is Michael Marley, and I'm the owner of Quantum Bell Incorporated in Quantinal. It's one of my research projects. You can take a look at me at quantinal.com/in-the-lab. You can't see very much what's going on right now, and I'm not sure of the nighttime capabilities of this camera, but I'm just moving on the heels of a spider hunter project, which is almost over for the most part, and I want to move on to something that's more important to me, which is science and the planet, and my belief in the planet for the most part, and which is my arc of life. So in this series, what I'm doing is considering how to discuss the universe, and not like the other dudes, from the science shows and stuff, but conventional thought, which has been quite successful if you consider all the things that they've built with science. But it's a different perspective on science, and explaining and with some fundamental approach, I think, how the planet or the solar system might work relative to others we might see in the sky. And while considering how to do these video series rather than commenting on other stuff or the work that I do on a day-to-day, the Spider Hunter series, I want to change it up a little bit. So I'm actually going to produce a YouTube series for Spider Hunter, which I think is going to be pretty badass. And I'm not sure that it's going to contain just one type of reference to a spider pattern. So in any case, back to the series I want to put together here for also YouTube. It's going to be on the Quantinal channel, and perhaps the Quantum Bell channel, and might be another way to produce some videos for Anarch and other topics of consideration among government or organizations, as a way to document some of the things that I say on a day-to-day in a way that can be presented to other people, who might later want to participate, or sit back and observe, or whatever their method is for consuming new information, or challenging their own thoughts or processes relative to what they might know or what they might not know. So this video here is just to kind of mark what I'm going to do, and in the meantime, I want to make some really cool videos relative to some of the activity I've been doing. So I mean, if I was to use some form of consistent observation, I would allege some of it's pretty boring, always trying to figure stuff out. But there's obviously a lot more to it. So I think it's going to be interesting. And the problem is dealing with real events, and the real universe, the real planet, right? And there's a lot going on planet Earth, if it makes any sense. And this is some of the problems I think we seek as individuals to solve can be strange or unique or however. So across a series of projects and activities as part of these groups, I think what I'm going to do is indicate how things correlate, like ghost hunting, or science, or cosmology, or geology, and then planetary physics, and all these other things, as correlated against larger or world government problems. And the world government problems are those problems which, when considered, seem to affect people in such a way that it's a consideration of men aspiring positions to solve larger problems, if it makes any sense. Not like it's like someone violating a perimeter of a fence line, it's one issue, right? But when the problem becomes expansive or large or has some sort of geographic consideration, it tends to push the level of perspective and requirement for action in one direction or another, within some ability or reasoning of the person to reason from a position where they are to to understand and then begin to work. So from one place to the next. So across the different videos, I'm not sure which ones I'm going to produce from day to day, but I'm going to be using this camera. We'll be on the road, and I'm going to put just about everything online. So if it makes it, you know, so one thing or the next for video after video. And you might have just seen that with, I don't know if that's the Chulo. Oh, Archon. Okay. So anyways, some of the stuff that, you know, the planet's always a weird place with life. But if you know anything about life, it's dangerous. So, gonna have some fun, you know, be able to document it. We're gonna see where life takes us, you know, as a free man in the United States, able to explore, you know, whatever as a free man. And as long as I don't try and kill everybody, you know what I mean, I can pretty much retain my freedom. And I guess it also applies to the flock, so I can't be killing bugs on everybody's property, alleging I'm not going to get in trouble for it. So in any case, this video series is going to be pretty interesting, because getting out of this area, as you know, intelligence operations, all this other weird stuff, I am actually going to teach people how to do my job. How cool is that? If it makes any sense. You know, I'm actually going to teach these people how to do it. And not all of it, because I don't think everybody's going to subscribe to every portion of it. But I think along the way, I can demonstrate how these problems or these activities correlate, whether it's a hobby or it's some constructive maneuver, to one issue or another. And where at the government of anarchy, if it makes any sense, a lot of people would say they're anarchy. You know, they would be like, oh, you know, you got the one group, which is the opposite almost to me sometimes, where they just don't like government at all, you know. But the truth of those guys is that they don't like government among men. You know what I mean? If it makes any sense, if I had to define their personal feelings, regardless of whatever they consider, it's government among men that they might not like. So they don't like other people telling them what to do. So there's those guys who consider themselves the anarchists. And I say that relative because you can't really fight the government of the planet because we live here. You know what I mean? It's the land I walk on and the trees. And, you know what I mean? You really can't fight some construction like yourself. You know, if it makes any sense. I mean, that's kind of like saying I'm going to punch myself in the face because I don't like the government of some construction. You know, it's like, what? You know, so anarchy and the limitations or perspectives of the topic might be limited to things that affect a lot of people or affect a person, and then some effort at deconstructive, regardless of how large it is typically among the construction of men also. So whether it's a distributed system or surveillance system put around my town, or a tracking system, or a radio weapon, or chemtrails, or all this other, there's plenty of stuff to engage deconstruction against and still have a perspective of personal freedom in the United States. And defining specifically, without indicating any rule of law, a prosperity agreement for environment. So, you know, I mean, this is our house, and we kind of agree to protect the land, if it makes any sense. We don't want you guys killing everything on it. So, that to me is my basis locally, in being born in Florida and growing up in Florida with the spirits of the deities of the Florida tribes. And if you know about Florida, white men only been here 100-something years, and the deities and stuff have been here for thousands. I mean, some of the Florida natives are 10,000 years history here. So in this region, the spirits are of I'm not able to pronounce it, it's the Timucua, and the dominant spirit, which has the most influence around here, is Jesaba. He's a creator of some sort, but he's a very, very smart, very capable. And I might be pronouncing it wrong, but I call him Jesaba, if it makes any sense. So it's been here a long time. And some of the names are interpreted by an electromagnetic program among people who think they make this stuff up. And if you know anything about the problems I'll discuss in later episodes, it's a form of thought control or mind control, which is a form of modulated SAR. Excuse me. So it's a coded signal, you know, and then some energy put on the person to read a signal from their body is able to interpret specific things. So some attribution of belief as attributed to other people it's easier to distinguish when you understand what they've done among other people they've worked with. So across a group of people who allege they had, if it makes any sense, then you consider 100 other victims and they're all dead and had no belief. It's like, you know, maybe they like someone. So you really got to understand some of these programs are really dangerous. excuse me. But you know what I mean? Trying to find yourself and then establish a belief and establish some belief that, you know, is local is important to me. You know, not just here, but around Florida. And, you know, if you travel around Florida, the deity areas vary from place to place and region to region. As for those spirits who kind of advise men. Now, some of the other problems I don't really want to get back into. And you guys, I mean, if you read some of my stuff, I've argued this problem up to war and down from war and up to war and down from war. And, I mean, up to civil enforcement and police enforcement or even military enforcement, and then back again down to a business. So, I mean, I've reasoned it, you know, it feels like 100 ways from where I am with it today. And I said, one of those problems is just kind of complicated to understand, you know? So, either way, so I'm going to start this series here for the Quantinal and then the Quantum Bell. And some of the topics I talked about on there are going to be relative to some of the books I'm writing. And, you know, the only available copy that might have ever been stolen was a first draft copy of something I haven't even had a chance to edit. And I've been working on it for the last 6 to 8 months, but there's really no digital versions anymore. So, you know, the first work that looks not so great, and, you know, I understand that, but I keep growing my perceptions of what's going on, and then testing those hypotheses, you know, to establish some sort of belief, you know, just like any animal would, as to this is what happens, or that's what happens, or this is what's going on, or that's what's going on, or et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to start the next